It's just wearing so thin on my nerves to hear these football fanboys still dragging the entire world down into this little argument. You should make them stand. Like, are you really trying to make a grown man? You need to stand up during the song when we do the thing and do the dance during the song too. And put your hand right on your chest when you stand for the song. But in the NFL, it was never televised. But now all of a sudden, it's a standard that was just set in 2009. How does it bother you? Other than that, you're getting annoyed because either, one, you don't get why they're doing, which I can understand if you don't get it, because they don't seem to get it either. Number two, you think that they're disrespecting, the police or the military. These guys are not intelligent enough to even know that they're doing that. They don't care. That doesn't even register to them. This is a generation where they were taught that those kind of things are gay or that they're oppressive. That doesn't even register to them. But it doesn't matter if I agree with you or disagree with you. Your opinion on this is infuriating to me. It's infuriating to me because it's either out of entitlement or it's out of misunderstanding or it's out of... There's no winning with you. You can't win. No matter what you think, it's stupid. And I don't care what it is. At least from what I've heard, I can only go by what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing. And so far, every take that I've heard about this has been like looking up music reviews. Not only does your mileage vary, but it's almost like you run off the road so infuriated that people could gymnastically get it so wrong. They are in denial. It's because they don't stand, you idiot. I'm a cop, you idiot. Fox CEO blames bad NFL ratings on oversaturation, which is his prettied up, remarketed way of saying nobody's going to shut the fuck up about us because we're letting the inmates run the asylum. Whoa, easy. That's basically, they're just letting them loose like dogs. And they're not even doing anything to anybody. They're just provoking them. That's all it is. And you're allowed to provoke. No one can tell these guys that they can't do this. It's almost like they just become everybody that's wearing these red hats, the Red Hat Society. It's like they become like the polar opposite of the college kids that they try to make fun of to make themselves feel better. Like suddenly they want to limit speech and limit physical actions. You find it disrespectful, so it should be a reason why you get fired. I will never agree with that. Didn't agree with it when it was Paula Deen even, because she whispered the N-word into a pillow 35 years ago about a man that was robbing her. It was a guy that robbed her, and they decided to rob her career because of that. I thought that was ridiculous. And I said it at the time, and I came out publicly. Not many people would do this, and I was probably very stupid to do it. I was probably like 19 years old with a little live podcast radio type job. I went out when I was that young, and I said, yeah, I don't think anything Paula Deen said was that wrong, because she didn't say it in 35 years. Sometimes we throw it around the house, but you can't hold me to it. Something like that, probably. But the groveling apology that she did, the big video where her face was pink, she looked like an uncooked piece of chicken, her hair looked like a pigeon, and she apologized and she begged people. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that she literally said, I beg you. Please forgive me for all the mistakes I've made. And she was crying, and it's like, oh, wow, you made an old lady from the South cry because she's fat and she doesn't get black people still. Yeah, she's stupid. Or she's very judgmental. Look at it to either one of two ways. Judgmental racially. You can pretend that that's a stupidity, but it's really just confirmation bias. And she begged. So I defended her. I also defended not Donald Sterling specifically, I don't think. Maybe I did. Maybe I said, hey, he shouldn't lose his team because he said something in a private conversation, which you're setting now a precedent. Everybody was running after him for that because of a private conversation. They recorded it. They were so happy. Like they have an excuse. They have an excuse to go after somebody. You said something I don't like. Come here. Come here. You're never going to work in this town again. How could you say that? And then they turn around and they put their headphones back on and listen to a rapper eloquently and poetically dropping verses about how they want to rape and murder some woman. So this guy here, John Stands. Oh, so his whole life, His whole life is now devoted to this issue. This nothing story. Something that you should see, and the extent of your reaction should be, bunch of fucking idiots. If you're enthusiastic about this, you're probably stupid. Or you're taking it too seriously. You're taking it too literally. Because you heard that this is a disrespectful action to people that you find it fair to respect. They themselves, I'm pretty sure, have said that that's not the case. Now, he wears the socks with the pigs on them, which is an insult to cops. If he wants to insult cops, since when is that now you're running a show business for that? And by the way, football is show business. This is not, this is nothing. At the end of the day, you were told that by some of the news channels. They said, CNN said it. And, well, they are protesting the systemic, which systemic, by the way, that's not the word you would use there. It would be systematic. It wouldn't be systemic. Systemic is a scientific term. Sociology is not science. It's almost like they created it that way as a joke. They call it systemic racism and then sell it to you and say, you need to go do speeches about this and scream in front of people about systemic racism. Hold up signs, yes. But they used the wrong word. Systemic is a scientific, is the word you use in science. And also systemic implies that it's just natural. That it's like oxygen being transported. Now, this is the word you're looking for, pals. Friendly friends. Because systematic racism would mean that it's being done deliberately. That this is a fixed plan or system that is methodically created to keep you down. Not systemic, where it's denoting a part of a circulatory system concerned with the transport of oxygen to and carbon dioxide from the body in general, especially as distinct from the pulmonary part concerned with the transportation of oxygen from and carbon dioxide to the lungs. So you're basically saying that racism against blacks is as natural as blood running through the body. If this is a systematic problem, then that's a problem that is of the system that is being done on purpose, which are the problems that have to be watched. Those are the only ones that have to be watched, really. The problems that are done by accident, it just means you weren't really good at your job. Those are never going to be prevented. You just have to find better people. The ones that are done deliberately, those are the ones that you're supposed to go after. Just a little aside, because that has been bothering me for a long time. And everybody just goes with it. Systemic. Systemic racism. Systemic. Yeah, but if you see this logo, you just know. I just see it and I think, but at the end of the day, what are the stakes? America has crowned the best adults who can play a kid's game on television for millions of dollars. Wow. Give them a trophy. And then that's it. You don't start acting like they're role models or celebrities, because they're not. They're just guys that are playing a game. I just don't get how you can take the NFL as a game itself even seriously. Of course it's fun. It's a fun game. When I hear, and I get angry when I hear soccer fans talk about football, because they always start in with the old shelf joke that they get from the store that they bought for $5, where they go, football? Why do you even call it football? You don't even use your feet. Yes, you do use your feet. The kicker, one of the most important aspects of the game. And you're mad because you don't get attention on your shitty... Man, I always just hear British people just get mad about Manchester United, which you don't know if they like them or dislike them. Well, by the way they talk, they just get mad about it and start yelling and, Manchester United fucking can't, what the fuck? And you're just like, what the fuck? Whose side are you on, first of all, and why are you so invested? I know it's part of my culture. Part of your culture, okay. They started with the football thing, the soccer fans, they love soccer so much and are so dedicated to it because it's all they have, that they have to hate on football. It's not even, if it's so not comparable, then stop comparing it just because we call it that. Hey, look, and also about the language, they always whine about that. You don't know true English because you've bastardized the language. No, we took it and improved it. We got rid of a bunch of the letters you didn't need, like in color or favorite. You don't need those letters. You don't need them. You don't pronounce it that way. Even you with your stupid accents, you don't pronounce it that way. So take the letter out. Why do you need it? Just because tradition? Well, tradition. Because they're so jealous. Well, they puff out their chest and they exclaim, well, He wouldn't last a day in rugby. Football does not suck. Just because they have long periods of rest and wait, because they're setting up the next thing where guys can fucking die. Guys can die from what they're doing there. They think on such a lower level, especially the athletes, because these guys, let's be honest, they're forced through college. They don't have to do anything. They show up, they don't go to the classes, which if you want to make it that way, then just make it so that you can major in basketball. Make it so that you can major in football. Not rugby or soccer, though. They're banned from America. Soccer and rugby should be made illegal by government force. And I think that anyone caught playing soccer or rugby should be punished to within the highest extent of the law. 70%, I would say. 75 to 80%, I would say. They are like child stars who are they're not adults yet, but they're large because they just work their muscles more than everybody else. That's all. It's all muscle memory. These guys are not figures. They're not philosophers. They're not thinkers even. And if they were thinkers at any point in their lives, they've lost it at this point, playing on a professional level and to become more retarded progressively as the years go on. They're just guys that have physical muscle memory and they remember how to play a game. And they know strategies of playing this one game. Strategies that only work in this little game with these rules. Specifically these. Just this game only. I don't agree with these guys at all. I think that they're stupid. I think that their point isn't a point. I don't think they have a point. Talk about me! Like, as if you don't get enough with what you already have. You guys, considering your talents and what you can do, you are living a life that is so much better than what you deserve. They shouldn't be looked at as any better than a construction worker or a plumber. That's my moral for sports. These people are just entertainment fodder. Let's be honest. And also, let's be honest about what they are. Celebrities, football players, athletes. You can respect them if they're good people and you agree with them on whatever they're saying. But all in all, these people, the reason why they're getting paid so much money, so much more than an average job, it's like a service fee where they're selling their name for regular people to kick around in conversation. You're selling your life as fodder. Why can't you just think of it in a way where you stop and say to yourself, does my opinion make sense here? Does this make sense? I feel like it's not that hard to do that. Just stop and think, if somehow everybody in the world became aware of what I am about to do right now, would it make sense to them? Would you be able to explain rationally why you made that decision to everyone that you know? Not fuck the regular people. I'm always sicking with those, like the Paula Deen apology I was talking about before. Forget what they think. Who cares what they think? They think a lot of things, and a lot of them don't make any sense. Case in point. You don't hear two sides of an argument and then say, which one of these two is right? Especially if you're in the workplace too. Like if you overhear some kind of an argument or you're out somewhere where you know everybody and you hear an argument. You don't just hear both sides and then say, I'm going to pick one of those two. You think about the problem, whatever they're whining about, like children, and you think, wow, what would make sense here? What would I do if I didn't know this was a problem and I was going to have to do this on, just regular life? Well, how would I do it to ensure that it wouldn't be a problem? That's how you should think. Be an adult. Be a little independent. Don't just assume that something, a story, drama, is only what the people complaining are saying it is. Because chances are there's a little more to the story than just two sides. There's one side that's mad, then there's the other side that's mad. And here's me hearing about your story, your little football fanboy. They're not standing during the celebratory song. They must hate us. Maybe they do hate you. And you know what? Even if you were well warranted in every angry emotion that you have, you shouldn't care that they think that. We already know the extent of the intelligence and the morals even of these people. They are not to be trusted with anything. They're not to be trusted with anything. Especially opinions. They're acting like not just rich kids who have rich parents and think they can get out of it, but like animals sometimes they act. These rich, pampered athletes who everybody dances around. They don't even think about their opinions, let alone their actions. NFL players, they're just doing their job and they decide to say what they want. Well, then you can't get behind firing Paula Deen or Donald Sterling because they said racist things that you didn't like. You have to take it the same way. Here's the other side of the coin where you're not taking it the right way. You think that someone that's offensive should be fired, but it only depends sometimes. Only sometimes. When it's something that is like more incriminating, I mean, like if you look like you're like freaking white and you freaking say that, like freaking stop. You're a racist asshole. Also, the second half of this, I just have to, NFL players who kneel should be fired or forced to stand. He said, in his opinion, if he was the owner of the NFL or an NFL team or whatever, a person making a decision executively, and the players were kneeling during the game, he would fire them. Not because he wants to silence their voices. Don't deplatform them. Don't silence their voices. And then they go to the college where it's like Ben Shapiro or whoever the fuck is the flavor of the month speaking this month, just trying to read from a script, standing on stage. I cannot tolerate it anymore with the, well, I was just trying to speak. I wanted to go and speak like you're Martin Luther King. But look what we missed out on. You standing at a podium, reading a script, or you sitting in a chair with some other dummy, taking questions. And if they don't want you there, if it's a private organization and they say, we don't want you here, then maybe you shouldn't go somewhere where you're not wanted. The students of Berkeley, okay, there's some of them that want to see you speak. Why do you have to do it at a college? Why don't you just do it at like a comedy club or a fucking Hard Rock cafe? Put your money where your appearance fees are. If you want to fund this little career where I have speaking engagements, then put your own money up or find someone who's willing to put money up for it. You're out of luck because these colleges, unless they're taking public funds, which a lot of them do, they have no obligation to let you speak. They're not cutting your freedom of speech. The freedom of speech cutting is when you censor it or when you say, this is not okay. You can't talk about that. Can't say that. Stopping someone from speaking, of course, you're in essence doing that, but it's more just saying, we don't want you to come talk here because it's going to create problems. I can see why some of the colleges do that. They issued a state of emergency. And if you saw, and then just like the thing in Boston, the Nazis they're going to march. The Nazis are going to march again. They make this big dramatic, pat yourself on the back. Look at me. I hate a group that is probably the most hated people in history because it's a safe target because they've been dead for 70 years. Just try to stop for a second and realize what you look like when you're doing that. Oh my God, you're beating up Hitler? Wow, call Tarantino, put you in the movies. Go punch those Nazis with Brad Pitt. You're a beautiful person. Every movie that they've seen within the past 15 years, they think now that they're living in it. Like Avatar, they think that they're a different species of otherworldly aliens who are advanced, more advanced, but they're being victimized by some underboss race of tricksters. Or they think that they're living in Harry Potter, where everybody evil is a magician or whatever the story in Harry Potter is. I've only seen a few of the movies. You just read fiction and watch movies and you think that this is your life. Because there's nothing else. There's nothing else for us that's that challenging. You shouldn't feel like you have to come out with your official statement or your official side of a story like, well, this cause that I heard about, all of my teammates, they're chattering about it in the locker room. And I just feel like, in terms of solidarity, I just feel like we got to do this together, man. And no, actually, you're really just worried that if you're mad at your teammates, you're not going to be able to play a good game. Well, here's a new rule here. Here's a new one there. Yeah. The last one I paid attention to is when I really started tuning out of sports, a rule about football and how they can't curse. Like, I think it was some of the black players where you drop in N-bombs during their celebratory, their cellies, as they call them, which I fucking hate that phrase. I hate the phrase celly for a celebratory football dance. I don't think that there should be rules like that. If I ran the NFL, I wouldn't have a rule against any of this. But I would say, let's stop showing it on TV, how about? Because that's what's riling people up. No one will notice it. They'll probably take photos of it. Like, this is... you created this platform in 2009 by starting to do a live telecast of the national anthem on the NFL broadcasts. It's not part of the show. The NFL as it is just a ridiculous organization. It doesn't make sense. It's stupid. It's a bunch of teams of guys playing for a city that they're not from, that they only live in because they play for this team, playing a child's game, And you can pretend, and when you hear that, if you're getting mad at me saying that, and you're thinking, no, it's a little more than that. No, it's not a little more than that. It really isn't. Just because it's a broadcast on television where somebody is making a lot of money off of it, because they're selling ads, because a lot of people like to watch a sport at a high professional level, to watch the best players in the world or in the country. Yeah, it's entertainment to watch. It's fun sometimes. But to dedicate that much thought of it and express yourself so much about something so meaningless in the end, you're seeing it so much and hear about it so much that it starts to become normal that the story exists, and then you just start taking a side and you go, I don't like that one. It's just entertainment. To be so invested in that, you sound like you're either next to a water cooler and you're a dullard, or you're a soccer mom who watches The View or The Talk or one of those shit shows and you have nothing better to do. That's what it sounds like. So either realize it's meaningless, or you can keep sounding like you're way too invested in this thing that you shouldn't even be that invested in the first place because it's ridiculous. You need to do what I say. It needs to be law. This needs to be law. Well, you're disrespecting me, so it shouldn't be legal. So now we have the issue where everybody's kneeling. So then people start tuning out because they are watching the game for the game that they watch for fun. The kneeling does affect the ratings. People that watch sports don't want to be condescended to. They're not listening or watching for a preacher to tell them about something that's happening in the world. They don't care. Football doesn't suck. The NFL sucks. And it's not even for the reasons that you probably think. Look at the way that they handle it. Like, if you were running the NFL, would you really do it the way that they do it? Even the music that they pick, it's so gay. But what Trump said was, if he were running the NFL, he would fire the players for kneeling because it's losing them ratings. Acting out and using your platform. Now, the NFL has no obligation to fund one of their players' protest. They don't have an obligation to fund your freedom of speech. They don't have to. And also the forced to stand thing, as if he sounds like a fascist. You sound like a fascist, Trump. He forces them to wear costumes, uniforms, when they're playing this sport. So why can't you force them to do what you tell them to do during a ceremony? It's just a traditional ceremony that they started in 2009. What a tradition, huh? But they do it at other sports, so it is a tradition. So they do it. So if you're going to try to protest and be what so many of these corporations, supposedly with the rules about language, they take issue with that, but they don't take issue with kind of shoving it in your face also. That's what a protest is. It's shoving an issue in your face. That's what it is. It's protesting. You go out in public and you yell about it and you hold up signs. What do you think that is? Stopping traffic. That's not how it should be done, but that's how a lot of them do it. Well, they're just doing that on TV. The way to avoid it is, if you're a regular viewer of the NFL, you should know at what point they do the national anthem. So just don't watch at that time. You don't have to care. Your emotion in this is what's keeping it going. Your emotion is why them kneeling has any power over anyone or you. It just does. It has power because you're giving it power. It's such a meaningless thing. You're mad because you can't make a grown man do the thing you want him to do during the ceremonial music. It is beyond childish to feel entitled to everyone doing what you want them to do during a song. Whether the ratings go up or down, they ain't making more money if the ratings go up. They've got a contract already. It may be based on jerseys, merchandise, fatheads. The NFL is just enraging people because they're sick of it. They just don't want to hear about it. And this protest is just as ridiculous as the kneeling protest. The boycott of the NFL. Really, asshole? Really? You expect me to look at you in your little American flag Twitter profile and you expect me to believe that you're not going to watch the Super Bowl? Shut up. Just shut up. You're lying to yourself and everyone else. You're going to watch your home team games. And you know what? You're going to sit there and you're going to bite your lip and take it and get mad that they're kneeling. And then you're going to bitch about it online like the good little viewer that you are. Keep at it, champ. You're part of the team, aren't you? Oh, yeah, you're a regular part of the team, just a team player. Because whenever you talk about what's going to happen, you talk about the blueprints, the game plan of the upcoming game, like you're on the fucking team, like you're privy to that. Like, well, what we got to do is we got to go in and we got to get the thing. We got to work on the defense and get the offense a little bit up. And, he's got to work on his running. And, his leg, he's had a sucky year. He's had a sucky year because of his leg. So, you got to get him in there. You got to make sure everything's going well. You got to get... Okay, I got it. Sports talk, whether it's on the radio or in real life or no matter where, it's all just hearsay, speculation about what you think is going to happen. Like, you're the owner of the NFL. You do have a right to fire them. And you should have a right to fire somebody if you don't like the way that they perform for you. That's your company. It's yours. More regulations would be saying, well, we gotta do this and that because this law and this one, you gotta follow this rule. No. If someone's not performing up to your standard and you're the employer, you get to decide who gets fired and who doesn't. So, you fire whoever you want. I don't want these regulations. People who believe in millennialism will tell you that they are a brand and that they need to make their official statement on every single thing that happens because they need to be an ally, and like as if they're selling something of themselves. Like they need to keep a clean reputation because I wouldn't want to lose my sponsorship deal with Nike, would I? No, you're just some dummy in college. And you just worry too much about how everyone thinks about you because it's been hammered into your head. But of course there should be standards for, not laws, but standards. Social standards. If you want to use the brand reputation argument, just do it if you're a business, if there's a reason for it. You don't fire somebody just because they said or did something that you didn't like, in their private life especially. Now, if they're doing it on your TV show, it's a little bit different. Because you're paying for that. And if people are not watching it because they're doing something specifically that the viewers don't like, well, now you're cutting into my profits. So I got to get rid of you. Sorry. I want money. I'm working in a business. I'm professional. I'm trying to make money. I'm not doing this for fun. I'm doing it because I own a company and a team and a league. Or you work in the network and you're mad because the ratings are going down because you pay for the rights to broadcast these games and nobody's watching them because they just feel like every player is a piece of shit and they don't want to see them play because they think that they're pieces of shit. Or they don't want to sit through another preachy, whiny, pay attention to my thing and my thing I haven't thought through all the way. You need to listen to my half-baked opinions about race that are biased because of my race, and I've been fed a line of shit. I think there should be a standard. You shouldn't be able to fire someone for what they did in their personal life, which includes being gay or transgender or being, whatever race you are or whatever, anything that's not law-breaking. But if they do something at work that affects their performance, or if they do something at work while they're supposed to be representing you, they're wearing your shirt or your hat or your logo or whatever. If Charles Barkley went on one of these shows, and I usually agree with Charles, but if he went on one of these shows and said something ridiculous that the NFL didn't like, just a random crazy example that would never happen, if he called for the murder of someone, and the NFL can decide if the audience was really disgusted by that, hey, asshole, you're wearing a suit and you're sitting at a desk that has my logo at the front of it, and you're calling for the death of someone. You're fired. You're misrepresenting me and my company. You're doing it on his dime with his cameras and his microphones and his field or in his uniform. You're wearing a logo and you're doing something that the team may disagree with, or the owner of the team may disagree with, or the fans of the team may disagree with. There's a reason why a lot of companies keep their employees on a short leash when it comes to making political or social statements, because you're representing them if you have their logo on your shit. Now, every place I've ever worked, I don't put their logo in my profile. I don't put their logo on my, unless it's a contractual thing where I'm doing a show or something and I have to promote it. But no, if I work somewhere, I'm not representing them. I'm representing myself. And just because you work somewhere doesn't mean you represent their views. In fact, if you work somewhere, there's a good chance you disagree with most of the people you work with. They pick fake little mini micro arguments, in their own words, microaggressions. Micro. Meaningless. Insignificant. Nothing. Nothingness. And making a big issue out of it, because that's a business now. well, you see, the system that had been created was gonna be against the blacks. And so when you gonna have this, see what had happened was when you take this racist system and you proclaim that it's gonna be all in one, it's gonna be injustice for all, but it ain't justice for all. You gonna have some stolen land ain't never gonna have no justice on it. Or like when you talk about America or whatever the case may be. So the bosses have a right to fire them if they want. They're cutting into their profits. But I think it's a moral thing where you don't have a right to fire somebody just because they said something that you don't like. This lady that worked at CBS as a lawyer, or whatever that story was recently, or she laughed about it, or she said, I don't have any sympathy for gun nuts, or something to that effect. And CBS fired her for that. Now, I wouldn't have fired her for that. It's a horrible statement in the sense that she's not funny enough to be joking. She's just a lawyer. She's some fuddy-duddy, wishy-washy lawyer at CBS. She's not saying this to be funny. She's saying this because she's a bitter, toxic, angry old bitch who wants to kill people because she can't grasp or wrap her mind around the way that they think. And she thinks that it's due to evil because she's too stupid. She doesn't get it. She wants to kill people that she considers evil. Or she doesn't care that they die if she considers them evil. But I wouldn't have fired her for it because, you know what? It was on her personal Facebook page. It depends what she does on the job. If I'm the boss and she's a decent lawyer, I'm not firing her for that. I don't care what you think on Twitter. I don't care. I'm not firing her for that. And there was another example, the SNL example, where there was a writer who wrote a joke on Twitter about Barron Trump and that he was a school shooter. Yes, a played out joke. I mean, look, I thought it was a kind of funny line, and at least it was edgy for SNL. But I heard those jokes all my life when you're in a class with all black kids. That is their frame of reference for white. School shooter. Damn, you look like you gonna shoot up the school. Damn, don't be shooting me. Hee hee hee. Because the Columbine thing had happened in like 99, and then there was like another example. The football players are not really being hypocrites. They're just being stupid. They don't know any better. You have to know better to be a hypocrite. People that are supposedly so intelligent about all these social issues and political correctness and social engineering is bad, but then they go ahead and they want to socially engineer. They want to do things that are against freedom of speech. It is freedom of speech. That's the thing. Here's the wacky thing about this country. It's with guns and with freedom of speech. That's why it's the first two. It sounds pretty wacky, doesn't it? That having no gun laws makes people safe. Doesn't it sound wacky? But it's a fact. And doesn't it sound wacky that the military goes to die so that someone can say something that disrespects the military? Yeah, it's kind of wacky. Isn't it? Isn't it kind of wacky? Isn't it a crazy world you live in? Where, yeah, that's how it is. If you disrespect the military, guess what? The football players, you might think that they're shitheads. And yes, they are. But guess what? They can. They're allowed to. They have complete freedom to do that. And just like they say on the other side, well, free speech is not free. It comes with consequences. Reactions to your speech have consequences. Well, yes, reactions to your protest have consequences when you're doing it on somebody else's dime. They can fire you for it. But of course, the NFL, they're walking on eggshells if they fire anybody for this shit overnight. Fascist football, the Nazi fascist league, they're here to kill us. The freedom to own guns, that's freedom. The freedom to say crazy shit, that's freedom. And you know what the best part of it? The reason why it's freedom is because it's not up to you. Not up to you who owns a gun. It's not up to you. I know that you've been taught your whole life that, oh, since this is a democracy, your opinion matters. Well, when your opinion's dog shit and it doesn't make sense and it's a result of you not having enough information, you're wrong. And your opinion doesn't matter. In the sense that you're not changing anything. You're not changing it. It's not up to you. It's not up to you which people can buy a gun, and it's not up to you what people are allowed to say. It isn't your call. It never will be. It never should be. People, they go into battle or they agree to enlist in training. They are risking their life or they are dying so that there can be irrationally free speech. That's what it is. They're dying for that. So that free speech is irrationally free. So that everything is irrationally free. That's the point. It has to be radically free. You can be a dick. Yes, you can. You can be an asshole. You're allowed to. And also you're allowed to say things that people think are shitty, and you're allowed to say things that people are disgusted by too. Get with it. You're allowed. And they're allowed. And if you have a problem with it, all you can do is bitch about it. You cannot create a rule or a law about it that's going to stop it. It's not going to work. Rules are, here's a quote that's going to be very controversial. Rules are gay. This is something that only the best websites have figured out. Rules are gay. Now, when I say gay, I mean lame, worthless, and stupid. And the reason why I'm using gay in that way is because I know a lot of gay people who use the word gay or fag to describe things that they think are lame, stupid, and worthless. So that's what I'm going to do too. And I don't care because it rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? It just works. So the word gay, the word fag, those words, they've taken on new meanings. And yes, they are negative connotations. But that happens in other ways too. There are negative connotations with other words that describe other people too. And it doesn't mean that you get to erase it. A little tangent, but rules are gay. And as I said, any website that's worth the salt of the earth that it stands on top of, any website worth going to has figured out this one and only rule, that rules are stupid. Rules are pointless and worthless. If you have rules, you're just trying to edit reality, and you're trying to filter reality. And nobody wants that. They just want to go on and see what it is. They want to just experience life without some nanny, some mommy and daddy editing everything. Go away.